What are we going to talk about today? My t-shirt today is Think Differently. So we're going to talk about Donald J. Trump, the man who wants to destroy cultural treasures. This is a sign for all of you Republicans that voted for Trump and are concerned that the Democrats voted to impeach Trump. This is your proof the man is insane, dangerous, and he should be locked up in a mental institution. Have you seen the pictures on Twitter of Iranians posting cultural landmarks that Donald J. Trump wants to blow up? It wasn't that long ago that the Taliban in Afghanistan blew up enormous world treasures of they were carved Buddhas, enormous Buddhas, cultural landmarks. And the Taliban, who everyone thinks are, what do you think about the Taliban? Blowing up world landmarks in the name of their religion. Now we have Donald Trump, billionaire capitalist, who is going to blow up cultural landmarks because of his religion being capitalism, and I'm an elite, white, male, privileged asshole. Donald J. Trump should be arrested. He should be arrested as a preventative measure to protect World Heritage Sites. Donald J. Trump belongs locked up in psychiatric high intensive care. He should not be allowed to walk the streets. He should not have the nuclear football. And Donald J. Trump is an example of people don't understand what the capitalist cabal is all about. Donald J. Trump is exactly that, the capitalist cabal. They have no sense at all. They prefer to blow up the world rather than step down from their slavery empire. They have enslaved the world with a capitalist, and now they're going to blow up art. These people all need to be locked up in psychiatric intensive care. And if you haven't got the picture by now, that the capitalists are highly dangerous people, I don't know what it's going to take. Donald J. Trump is in bed with Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel and the billionaires. He's in bed with the king of Saudi Arabia, who goes around and executes people by chopping off their heads. And the reason he executes them, for example, the man's gay. He needs to have his head chopped off with a sword. These are the people who are collaborating. These people are unbelievably dangerous to the world security, world peace. These are the people who have been running the show for centuries, the billionaire aristocrats. And if you voted for the man, I guess you made a mistake. But it's time that you figure out whose side are you on. Are you on the side of art and culture? I mean, really, would you blow up St. Peter's Basilica in Rome? Would you blow up the Louvre in Paris, France? Would you blow up the British Museum? That's what Donald J. Trump stands for. Blowing up human history, human cultural history. The man is unbelievably dangerous. If he'll do that, he'll stoop to nothing to get what he wants. Total, complete slavery of planet Earth. And him and his friends being the white slave owners whipping the rest of us. There is no excuse for voting for Donald Trump. And in fact, you ought to get on your phone and call your senator and send emails, and you ought to be going up and down the street with pots and pans, bashing them together to wake everybody up. You ought to go to the richest neighborhoods in your cities and have enormous protests against Donald J. Trump and the rich sons of bitches that he hangs out with. He tweets from his golf course and his resort in Mar-a-Lago. He is the ultimate in elite, privileged people. These are the ones who are I don't know. I mean, if you were a black slave, would you consider the white slave owner to be your enemy? I don't know what these Jews in Israel think, but the way they treat everyone else in their neighborhood, these Jews are asking to go back to the gas chamber. These Jews in Israel that are abusing the Palestinians are causing all kinds of warfare among all the other people in this area that they weren't even there before. The Balfour Declaration put them there. These Israeli Jews are highly toxic. And if the Muslims decide to nuke Jerusalem, I won't have a problem with it. I see Netanyahu as holding the American people hostage while he wants everything else for him and his Jewish homeland. And he wants the United States to pay for it all. U.S. citizens, your country is hijacked by Benjamin Netanyahu and Israeli Jews. Is it anti-Semitic? I'm sorry, the Semitic are all the people of the Middle East. And these Israelis who come from God knows where, who are constantly rattling the saber, these people deserve whatever the hell they get. When Pakistan launches nuclear weapons to blow up Jerusalem, it's going to be, I told you so. Who else is going to attack Israel? I think it's going to be the American people when they finally wake up. And they look to see who is it that's enslaved them. And they see it's all the supporters of Israel. Israel is public enemy number one on planet Earth. Why is it that the Israelis, who go on and on and on about the Holocaust and how horrible it was, what exactly were they doing in Germany that made the German people decide it's okay if you gas the Jews? I'm getting the feeling that the German people back in the day looked at a lot of these Jewish rich buggers and said, it's time to exterminate them. And that's why they did it. Because you see, the same people in Israel, these Jewish billionaires, they're horrible people. They don't give a rat's ass about anybody but themselves. Am I anti-Semitic? Maybe I am. Maybe I've seen enough. And I'm certainly not pro Saudi Arabia. What is it with that part of the world? You've got insane people. How long is it going to go on for? The backroom deals that go on between the state of Israel and Saudi Arabia. Yes, out in public, they're enemies. But in private, they got all kind of special deals on who they're going to gang up on next. The Saudis and the Israelis versus the Iranians. And I suppose it's the Iranians and the North Koreans. When is this shit going to end? I'm telling you the truth. The billionaire class is going to have to be ripped out of their ivory towers. And they're going to have to be marched naked down the streets of New York City. And then tarred and feathered. Because they haven't spent their billions to help the poor, to fight diseases. All they do, I heard today from my doctor that they charge $40,000 for a 3-week supply of Sovaldi to cure hepatitis C. That goes directly to this billionaire class. $40,000. And then the truth of the matter is, these billionaires are the ones who have arranged the biowarfare centers, like at Fort Detrick, Maryland, that designed the virus that creates HIV and AIDS. It's man-made. It's man-made. These people made it, and then they designed a program to put it into hepatitis B vaccines and give it to people all over the world. But the hepatitis C, it's $40,000 for 3 weeks supply of pills. Can you see the enormous greed, the lack of concern for your fellow human being? And the ones that created HIV, but then, where is the cure? It's available, but it's not being released to the public. How did they make HIV? Robert Gallo, who was discoverer of HIV, actually worked at Fort Detrick Biowarfare Center. He was working with Litton Industries, and he took the sheep Visna virus and a leukemia virus, and he put them together in the lab. And if you look at the details that's on the internet, Gallo created HIV, and then later on, he was the one that discovered the virus, and then gets a kickback on every HIV test ever made. The man created this nightmare. Where is the lawsuit against the United States Army at Fort Detrick? Where is the lawsuit against Robert Gallo and whoever else he was working with? Who is sitting on the cure for HIV? How many people died because of this? These insane people were the same ones that were testing nuclear weapons all over the world, and the fallout blowing over humans. Countless times they tested all this stuff. There's evil on this planet, and it has to be called out. I'm dirt poor. I'm not a Jewish billionaire. But I say if I was a billionaire, I certainly wouldn't be living high on the hog like Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago. It's time for the average Joe to wake up. The average Joe to say, who are these billionaires? Are they really Jewish? What does the Jewish Torah and Talmud say about your fellow man? Does it say enslave them? I think it does. Some people say that's what it says. If you're a goyim, you're no better than sheep or cattle. And that's what you see other humans as. If that's your religion, it's time you got a new religion. If your religion is capitalism, maximizing profit for me and enslaving everyone else, it's time that you got a new kind of way to run your world. I think the Jews should have learned after Germany. They should have seen, well, our families were murdered. Have they got some idea that, if they're worse than Hitler to the Palestinians, that, the world is going to give them all kinds of sympathy? I see nothing but money from the United States going to Israel, and nothing but Israeli munition factories, weapons factories. Is this a peace-loving people? I don't think so. But if you look back before the State of Israel was created, the Jews were a minority in places like Jerusalem. But basically, they lived in peace with their neighbors. Those people did. All these other immigrants that came from everywhere else, they've got real issues with their fellow human beings. And they own all of the press. All of the press in the United States is owned by this billionaire class. And in the UK, the United Kingdom, everywhere, in Canada, all the Western countries, and they're all controlled by Israeli Jews and their sympathizers. Who is it that's behind the scenes fomenting wars so that their munitions plants can get billions and billions of dollars? Follow the money is what they teach you on television, on any kind of cop show. Who has the motive for it? If you own these munition plants, you have a huge incentive to have wars created so you can sell your munitions. Sooner or later, you have to decide, am I going to stand for this? The planet is in shambles. And it's getting worse. Pure evil is running the show. And this evil has bought all the politicians. And it owns all the businesses. Somebody wants me to talk about the Russian oligarchs. Who are they? They're all in bed with Israel. Now, what about China? Are they in bed with Israel too? China is another one of these imperialist powers that goes around buying up water supplies in other countries. They play the long game. The long game means we're going to produce everything cheaper than you can in your country because we have our own bank, the Bank of China, and we use it to produce things really cheap. So we're going to put all of your unionized factories out of business. And it might cost us a lot of money, but we can make as much money as we want because we own the Bank of China. And then once we've taken all of your money to buy all of the stuff that we make in China, we're going to buy your country with the money that you printed from your bank. It's the long game. So China is not a good guy. They're very smart. They're very shrewd. But I don't want them buying up my money. And I don't want them owning all the land in my country. I don't want to be under a Chinese capitalist dictatorship. It seems like I've got enemies everywhere. You can't bomb China into submission. They've got really good armaments anyway. How are we going to dig ourselves out of this mess? The answer is you personally have got to decide that you've had enough. And then what are you going to do about it? There's really nothing you can do about it, is there? That's the kicker of the whole thing. Even when you finally figure out what the hell's going on the planet, the kicker is there's nothing you can do about it. In essence, you have to decide that I don't want to be involved with these kind of people. And then what? Then you have to figure out what exactly happens when I die. Do I really reincarnate here automatically on this planet? Or are there some people on the other side of death who decide whether you come back here or not? No one really wants to think about death because it's so horrible. It's not horrible. It's a fact of life. How are you going to ensure that you don't get sent back to planet Earth by whoever captures your consciousness or your soul after you drop dead? What? Something intelligent decides where you're going to go for your next lifetime, where you have a body. Who is it, and what is their agenda? The answer is, you better be ready to see what happens when you die. And watch out for the same kind of humans that are here on the other side.